Hello and welcome to the Goldenrod Podcast, bringing you some of the latest and greatest Pokemon news and a few laughs along the way. I'm Ben. I've actually introduced myself this week, and as always, I'm joined by fellow Pokemon enthusiast Conor. Before we begin, you can jump around the podcast by using the timestamps in the description below. Conor, are you ready for this weekend?
Well, are you ready for this weekend? I mean, I thought about this earlier, right? So for those of you who need context, I'm going to the Pokemon World Championships this weekend. Just as a spectator, I'm not competing. I'm not that good. Ben
can't go.
Ben can't go because he's getting married this weekend. And I'm stressing out. I'm like, oh, I've got to pack all my bags. I've got to bring all my film gear. What do I need? I'm trying to organize Lewis and make sure that Tommy and Baker, who are obviously my friends who are going with me, are organized, because I feel like if I don't at least move some of their pieces for them, they won't do it. I've worked with these guys long enough now. I know how they work. I know how to get them to do their bits. They just need just a nudge in the side. So that's been stress. And I was like, I'm not even hosting this. I'm just attending. You are hosting and partaking in a wedding. How stressed are you this close to it now?
I'm not actually that stressed because we have done so much legwork for it, like weeks and months ago, that when it did come round to, it's only a month away, we'd done most of the heavy lifting. It basically, at that point, it was a case of just chasing a few people to go, do we need to pay you now? Because it's getting really, really close. So for the most part, we're pretty much ready. One of the last things I've had to do is just get a couple of extra shirts for me suit, just in case, because like we're there from first thing in the morning, so like literally we're staying over the night before, so we're there from 7, and it is going on until 11:30 at night. So I was like, I don't think one shirt is going to do me throughout the entire day, to be quite honest with you, between dancing, just maybe getting a bit sweaty outside when it's hot and warm, obviously having to do, a speech as well, so just getting a bit of, those nervous sweat patches that you get.
And of course, you've got no experience with public talking now.
None at all.
No presenting experience or anything like that.
I've basically turned it into a comedy stand-up.
Wow.
I've just like pulled out. I've been writing this speech for the last couple of 6 weeks. I've been chipping away at it. It's only in maybe the last week and a half that I've gone, right, okay, I really need to kind of finalize this. So earlier on, when Moles was downstairs in the kitchen just doing a bit of food for herself, I went outside into our summer house just to go, right, okay, let's time myself, figure out how long this is going to be, because I'm not sure if you have done this before, but when you're writing a script for YouTube, because obviously how you
write is not the same as the way you speak.
Yes. So sometimes you'll write something, it's like that's perfect, and then you say it out loud, and you're like,
I'm falling over my words. Those don't actually. That doesn't sound like what I'm trying to say. Just to cut them off that, like I've got to a point now where, for me, because it takes me forever to type anyway. I'm not sure if I'm like, I don't have dyslexia, but I definitely have issues like typing. I've always have. I take forever to write, and it's almost like it takes a long time for my brain to come up with what I want to say, then get my motor functions to put that in writing, and then by the time that's all happened, I've completely lost what I wanted to say next. So my mate actually comes around now and basically acts as a secretary is the wrong word, but like a scriber for me. And just types up as I kind of pace back and forth in my room, saying my script out loud. Wow. So it's already in that format where I can say it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because then you've not got to almost edit it to go, right, okay, how would this script work if I was saying it? Because, well, you write the script as you say it, and therefore it's natural. I think that's the key thing, is like making it natural. It's the same with any kind of script writing. It's all one go putting it down on the paper, but sometimes you read it back and you think, that isn't me. Like, that isn't how I would naturally say anything. And I'm hoping, like, the speech that I'm giving, I hope people go, that is Ben down to a T. That is exactly what we expect. I mean, I've got a couple of jokes in there. Like, one of them is, Molly, I really love you, and I hope you feel the same way about me once you've heard the rest of the speech. And then what's one of the other ones I put in there? She knows a handful of them.
So what I'm learning here real quick is that Molly doesn't listen to the podcast.
No, she doesn't. No, she knows I do YouTube, and she knows that I now do a podcast. But no, she doesn't. She doesn't watch. She doesn't listen. I can talk to her about it, and she'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's really good," and everything. But I honestly don't think she really cares. It's not her. It's not her cup of tea. And one of the other jokes in there is around. I promised Molly that I wouldn't make her emotional on her wedding day, but I must be doing something right. Is the cake is in tears.
Oh, okay. See, it's fine because it's one of those jokes where you get full audience participation no matter what. Some of them will laugh, others will groan. 100% participation, exactly. Success.
Exactly. And the best part is that, and I only realized this the other day, is that I give my speech last, which is what I'd actually prefer. While you could go first and get out of the way with, I feel like then you've got like the audience where they don't know where they're at that stage. Whereas if you go last, you've basically had two warm-up apps. One warm-up acts. I'll get there in the end. And Mol's dad is he's got a very similar sense of humor to me. So I'll know from what he does. Like hopefully he kind of sets them up. And then hopefully people enjoy the speech and it doesn't fall flat on its face. I hope.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. I've seen your sense of humor. I've listened to your scripts and your script read. You'll be good.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. He is hoping that it goes really well. So I'm obviously feeling quite happy about this weekend. I'm sure you are too, which is a nice little segue into Pokemon Happy Meals.
Pokemon Happy Meals. All right, you got that way right about it.
I thought, so what we're going to discuss today is we're going to discuss Pokemon Happy Meals because they are making a return over in the UK. I don't know anywhere else in the world, but over in the UK. And we're going to just discuss about Pokemon events in general. As Conor's already mentioned, it's the Pokemon World Championship. So we thought we'd kind of link these two up because they are somewhat semi-related. And maybe start with the Happy Meal. So let's go back, I guess. What have you got any early memories of Pokemon Happy Meals?
Going all the way back now. Not really. Not off the top of my head, anyway.
Yeah. See, I'm the same because I remember all the recent ones. But I don't remember the ones from when I was a kid because I don't think it was the done thing for McDonald's. I think it was Burger King over here.
Weirdly enough, that rings a bell.
Do you remember the Graveler that you could spin?
Maybe. Oh, you're asking me to remember my childhood, mate. You're asking for trauma.
Apparently so. Apparently so. And the only reason I know about this Graveler is because one of Molly's brother actually has like a box still at the mum and dad's house, and in there was a Graveler toy that I was like, I've never seen this before in my life. Anyway, through conversation, found out that it was from Burger King. It was a toy, and you basically span it, and then like Graveler would just rotate on the spot really fast.
I mean, in the 90s, like pure Pokemania, there had to have been something. I'm going to Google it now. I'm going to look it up.
Go on,
I'm going to look it up. You're going to have to buy me some time.
Okay, so while Conor is doing some ad hoc research, so for those of you who do pick up the Pokemon Happy Meal, you will get 4 Pokemon cards, I believe one of which is a holo. You can tell that I've done my research on this. And you get a coin, a gold coin, and a spinner, which is very similar to what they did in the Pokemon 25-year anniversary, where you could collect certain Pokemon cards. It was all the starters. Did you collect any of them?
I didn't know, because I went down to my local McDonald's to go and try and buy some Happy Meals, and they were like, no, they're gone. It's like, what do you mean they're gone? Like, yeah, no, people have come in and bought them. Yeah. It's like, what? They bought a bunch of Happy Meals. It's like, no, they just bought the cards.
The cards. Because for those of you who don't know, you could literally just walk in and go, I'll buy 100 packs. And they'd go, right, okay, well, the 99 pence each, and go, he give us the money, here are the card packs, to the point where it kind of ruined it for a lot of people. And then the rules slightly changed, and like some McDonald's would still like to go in and buy them. Some McDonald's just flat out said you have to buy the Happy Meal. So there was literally news reports of people going in, buying a ton of Happy Meals, and then throwing the Happy Meals away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just for the card? Could you imagine that? Like, there are
just
people
for the cards, and none of the cards are really worth that much.
No, I'd agree. They look great, and they're a nice little novelty to have, especially with that like 25 symbol where the 2 and the 5 are in place of Pikachu's cheeks. And I did collect the Pokemon 25th anniversary cards from there. And you know what? I have never ate so much junk food in such a short space of time, to the point where this is how, I don't know if this is dedication or sadness. Like, on the days I was working from home, I'd drive to McDonald's, I would go inside, buy a Happy Meal, buy an extra pack of cards with it, and then go through the drive-thru to buy another Happy Meal and another pack of cards. So I basically bought 2 Happy Meals, which was my dinner, to get 4 cards. And then I had to stop when it basically got to the point where, you know how it is with any trading card game, when you've practically completed the set, it's no longer value for money to keep buying the packs, because you are just getting duplicates over and over again. And it got to the point where I got the shiny Pikachu, and I thought, you know what, I'm kind of done with this. I'm still missing about 6, I think, and some of them are the hollow ones. And I just thought to myself, you know what, I'm kind of done with this. I need to stop, otherwise it becomes a bit of an obsession. And to be honest with you, my stomach was really struggling with how many Happy Meals I was buying by the end of it.
I can imagine. No, see, that's the thing. So I didn't collect them. It was right at the time when Pokemon, it was the whole Jake Paul thing. As far as I'm aware, like, that's Pokemon cards were exploding in value. There were thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds worth of Charizards being sold. People were buying up like Shining Fates and stuff like that. Champion's Path for the Gigantamax, shiny Charizard and things like that.
Yeah.
The Pokemon cards were going ballistic, and it was just it was good marketing timing. But for anybody who just wanted to casually take part, it was awful, because it was right, I can't remember whereabouts it was in COVID, but it was sort of earlier on, I believe.
So I was in my new house, and I moved in last February. So I think it was actually quite late on in COVID, but I think it was not long after the second.
There it is. The second lockdown. So we were kind of in and out, and we weren't sure where we were going to be at the time.
No,
because that's kind of when I was starting to get into the Pokemon TCG anyway. And I bought myself a couple of decks and was going to go up to my locals, and they don't exist anymore. You can't do local games, or if you do local games, you had to like book ahead of time and book a slot and all that kind of stuff. So it was a little bit of a nightmare. So I was just very avert. I had an aversion to taking part in anything to do with the TCG at that time, including collecting these ones from McDonald's, because I, again, heard that they were just gone. You just couldn't get them. A little bit of research showed up. The thing is, you Google McDonald's Happy Meal Pokemon, and the first thing it says is, did you mean Burger King? It seems like Burger King. I'm looking at an advert now where you basically had 3 plushies, tiny ones that came in Pokeballs. So there was a Pikachu, a Meowth, and a Poliwhirl, because remember, this was the 90s when they still weren't sure whether Poliwhirl was going to be the mascot or not.
Yes.
And then little plastic figurines of what looks like a good chunk of Pokemon. Like, maybe not all 151, but a large amount of them. A very large amount of them.
Wow.
I think it looks like all final Evos plus starters.
Oh, so you would have to spend a lot. But I'd imagine, though, back in those days, you could probably just go in and just say to whoever it is behind the counter, I'll buy the Charizard, the Blastoise, and you could probably just pick them out.
Well, the way we used to do it is you get one, and then you'd kind of turn around and be like, oh, my son's got this one. Can he swap it for another?
Yeah.
And that was absolutely fine to do.
It was fine. It depends on who you talk to, because like when I was collecting the 25th anniversary ones, I went into one of the McDonald's in town, and I asked, I ordered McDonald's and said, I'd like to buy another pack. And it was this student. He must have been a student. He's 17, 18. He's like, yeah, how many do you want? I was like, well, how many can I have? And he just kind of shrugged his shoulders as if to say,
I
don't
work
get paid
here.
enough for this.
Yeah,
I really don't care. So I was like, can I have 3? He was like, yeah, sure. And he just got me 3 back. But he only charged me for 1 extra. So he obviously didn't care. He was like, yeah, whatever. Whatever, just get out so I can like relax or whatever it is. It also depends on who you get served by. So I can kind of understand why some of these people at the start were able to just go in and just say, yeah, I'll buy however many you get and you've got, and sell them on at the that's the thing that annoys me, is people that then sell them on at markup.
Well,
value.
Of course, because that was the idea. Is you'd go in, you'd buy the whole crate that they had, basically, knowing that you could shift the shiny Pikachu or whatever you had for massive amounts of money quickly, because people want it now, because we live in a immediate gratification society nowadays. And you've bought out all the stock, so nobody else is being able to get them. So you set the price for them, shift them really quickly, and then because there's actually loads of them out there, the price plummeted all of a sudden. Because that was the other thing. None of these McDonald's cards were particularly rare.
No,
you had equal chances, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Again, I am talking off the top of my head, so if I get some things wrong, that's understandable. But I'm pretty sure there was no real
other than
difference.
the Pikachu. Yeah. The Pikachu was slightly rarer from my understanding and from my just general buying of the Happy Meals to try and get it. The Pikachu one, I got one of, and I must have spent about, I don't know, 50, 60 quid, something like that.
Wow, okay.
Whereas, a bit overkill. Whereas the other ones, the other shiny ones, because you got a shiny with every pack, which meant you had basically, other than the Pikachu. So take the Pikachu out, you had a 1 in 20. Yeah, there was 50 overall, and so 25 of them were shinies, 25 of them weren't the shinies or the hollows. So you had a 1 in 24, 25 chance, depending on how you look at it, of getting one of the hollow ones. And I got duplicate hollow ones. I got 3 of one of them. Like, the odds weren't any different other than the Pikachu. And you could just find them on like Facebook Marketplace, for example, and just search for, I'm looking for this one. And the amount of people that were trying to shift them towards the end and get rid of them. Some for ridiculous prices, some for quite low.
And that was always the difference. You'd know the difference between somebody who's like bought all these as a speculative purchase, and those who were like, I need them off the bottom of my car floor.
Yeah. I've made a huge mistake. I just want to get rid of these now. So would you be more likely to maybe buy them if they went, and I know they won't now, and I'm kind of glad about this, if they went back to the plastic toys?
I don't think they're that bad. I mean, I don't do Happy Meal toys or anything anymore. I'm a little bit big for that now. But they did kind of go down in quality. Weirdly enough, one of the ones I remember most distinctly was they did Sonic toys for a little bit, which were like little handheld computer games, and they weren't anything impressive. They were all dot matrix stuff. So we're talking about weaker than a Game Boy kind of thing. But they were good fun. You had loads of those that were just fun things to play with. And I don't think they've ever done anything as good as that. Like, a lot of the little plastic toys now, because I'm looking at these from the Burger King ones, and they do look like nice little figures that would hold up, and you could just stick them on your desk, stick them in front of you, stick them on shelves behind you, and they'd look pretty good. There's decent quality to them. Whereas nowadays it's all built by the lowest bidder in China and painted as quickly as possible, and just
so wow,
trash.
It's funny that you mention that, because so my daughter, I think this was one of the last times that McDonald's did plastic toys, because they've moved away over here, at least, from plastic toys now. They give things that are more environmentally friendly. Pokemon cards just fit into that because they are cardboard, basically, so it's quite easy for them to justify that. But my daughter got a Kyogre that you can put in the water, and it sucks up the water. You press its head and it squeezes the water out. And you know what? The quality of that is better than the official minifigure that I got with Brilliant Diamond.
That was awful, wasn't it?
It was absolutely terrible. Like, it's still, I've left it in the packet Not because I'm thinking, oh, this might be worth something, because I'm that embarrassed to show it on my shelf because the paint job on it is absolutely terrible. How is it that a Kyogre from a $1.99 Happy Meal is better quality and more fun to play with, to be quite honest with you?
Yeah, because you can play with it rather than just it sits on a base.
Sits on, yes.
And that's the thing, because it's got a base, you can't even like, walk towards you or,
Yes. Can't do anything with it, unfortunately. But I've got a feeling that I think McDonald's with the Happy Meals and the Pokemon cards, it's a win-win for Pokemon and McDonald's, and it's something that we're probably going to get once a year, I reckon, if not more.
You reckon once a year? You reckon it will be like Monopoly now?
Yeah, definitely. I think 100% once a year, Pokemon trading card games to tie in with, whatever the latest game is, 25-year anniversary, 30-year, 35, 40. Like, this is just an ongoing thing now. And I had me fun with the last one. With the 25th anniversary, I'm not doing it again. I can't afford, and my stomach can't handle to.
No, you don't need to be eating that much junk food. Please.
No, definitely not.
You've got to fit into a suit in a couple of days.
Hold on, I've got a fun thing to tell you about this. I've got to tell you about this. So I'm quite proud that I've managed to fit into a 34 regular. Okay?
Nice.
So I'm really happy with that. How I managed to do that is my mum used to be a very good seamstress. So she has managed to, I don't know how she's done it, but she's managed to, apparently all trousers have a little bit of give in it. So if you are a seamstress, you can open it up, stretch it out a little bit, and then resew it. So she's managed to do that. And now the 34 regulars are slightly too big. So I've had to buy a belt. So they've gone from being slightly uncomfortable, a bit too tight around the waist to, these are quite, snug now. So the diet has officially gone out the window over the last 2 days because I'm like, well, I can fit in them. I know I can fit in them, so I'm quite happy with that. So yeah, nice little aside there.
What am
I like? Should we get back on track then and talk about the this year's Pokemon World Championships?
We can do if you so like. I don't want to rub it in because you're not going.
Yeah. Moles did say, don't let it stop you from going if you really want to go. And then I said, well, the dates are actually over our wedding. She was like, yeah, you're not going.
Yeah, you're not going.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go. Don't worry. But I could have gone on the Thursday, and I was half tempted. But then just trying to get tickets was a nightmare.
They were gone. They were gone within 15 minutes.
They just absolutely flew by. And if I was free for the full 4 days, I'd feel a lot more gutted. But one day, would it have been worthwhile for me to travel all the way from, the West Midlands all the way down to London for one day?
And if you were only going on the Thursday, the most important thing happening on the Thursday is the opening ceremony, where hopefully we're going to see like new VGC releases, maybe some more news on Scarlet and Violet, which I'm both happy about and not happy about, because it means I'll have to maybe do some work whilst I'm there.
Oh, no.
I might have to sort of grab Lewis and be like, yo, you need to film me real quick, and we'll do a little live upload of this news that's just come out, because we'll be the first ones to see it. But like the opening ceremony is at 9 a.m, and you have to go pick your tickets up from the Excel Center as well. And if you've ever been to a Comic-Con or anything at the Excel Center, the queuing there takes forever, and the doors don't open until 8.
What time are you getting there then?
So that's the thing. The doors open at 8. The opening ceremony is at 9. We really want to be at the front end of the queue for when the doors open. So we're looking to get there for like 7, half 7-ish.
Yeah.
Which means leaving Tommy's at like 5:30, maybe. 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Oh, that's a long day. That is a long day.
It is going to be a long day.
Hopefully worth it. So the first day is basically just trailers galore, releases, just to get people excited.
Well, no. So again, this is World Championships. So you have what in the first 2 days, I believe, is what's called Swiss, which is so it's going to be Pokemon Go, Pokemon VGC, which is the games, double battles, TCG, which is the card game, and Unite is there this year as well. So what you've got is a load of people who have qualified for Worlds, but they then need to break them down so that you have your bracket going into like, that will break you down to the final. There's a lot of competitors to get through to figure out who actually gets to compete in the brackets, if that makes sense.
Okay, right.
So you go through something called Swiss, which is basically you play so many games throughout your day. Everybody will play so many games. You'll just get matched up. And it's your win-loss ratio at the end of the day.
Oh, okay.
So that's the first couple of days.
Right.
Obviously, the most interesting things happen on the Sunday, which is the finals. And I'm pretty sure I've had a look at the schedule, and they've broken it down so that no final overlaps another.
Oh, that's great.
So you can watch the VGC final, followed by the TCG final, followed by the Unite final, followed by the Go final. I don't know if it's in that order, but that's the kind of the concept that they've gone for. And that's really cool, because that's a big thing on the Sunday. And of course, it gets interesting because you'll have built up stories and stuff over 4 days. Like you'll have seen you'll see people who have gone into like the losers bracket and worked their way all the way back up, and now they're in the final. And these two. And the thing is with sports, and especially with like esports and things like that, knowing the rivalries going in is always more interesting. So knowing that it's like, oh, well, this is somebody who has made it to the final 3 years running, but has never managed to clinch it. And now they're in the final again. There's a lot at stake all of a sudden. So learning those stories over the couple of days, the commentators on these events are always fantastic. I know a couple of them. I've listened to a lot of their YouTube stuff. I love the way they do stuff. I think PTCGO, no, wrong. PTCG Radio, I'm pretty sure. Wassy, good old Wassy, is doing TCG commentary, I believe. Aaron, I'm terrible with names. I think it's Aaron. Anyway, there is somebody else who's in VGC who's doing the commentating. I've listened to him a lot. It's great. And like they're very good at giving you this in-depth knowledge and things. Because I've always said with esports, it's very difficult to kind of, with something like a normal sport, with football, for instance, we've all tried to do sport. We all know how hard sport is to do. We can see somebody throw a really long pass and be like, that took skill to get that as accurate as it was and as far as it was. We can see somebody kick a ball and it go in the goal from like the halfway point, and everybody goes mad because we've all tried to do it and it's really hard to do. Esports is difficult because unless you really understand the mechanics of the game, you don't necessarily know how complex things are to pull off, and therefore how impressive it is that they get pulled off.
Yes.
And when you're trying to, like, especially with things like, so take VGC, take the double battles in the actual games, right? Because we've all played Pokemon at this point. If you're listening to this podcast and you've not played a Pokemon game, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. They're good fun. We talk about them on a weekly basis. We love this franchise that much. But we know the mechanics kind of thing. But there's a lot of intricate interactions that maybe we don't understand. Maybe some casual observers will know that, Intimidate, it lowers the attack stat. Well, did you know in doubles it lowers the attack stat of both Pokemon? And it does it every time you switch in. Well, that's interesting to know. But it's more interesting to know that it's just lower the attack stat of their main physical attacker. But it's also then paired with somebody, and like there's so much interaction that goes on with Pokemon that unless you have a good commentator literally telling you step by step, this is what's happening, this is why they've made the play they've done, you can kind of follow it fully.
Yeah.
And that's why most of these commentators, and it's the one thing I love about esports, like I know they technically do it in sports as well, where it's like ex-athletes will usually commentate. Rather than just like sports journalists and that. But it's the same thing with this, where it's going to be like most of the people who comment on VGC are people who have played VGC at a world-class level. They know what they're talking about, and they follow the game, and they are in that kind of mind space of the other players. I'm really excited.
I'm a bit gutted that I'm not going now that you've just gone through all that, because having things broken down to you now, TCG, I know what I'm doing in TCG, and the actual video games, for the most part, I know what I'm doing. There might be some, strategies out there that I look at and go, what was that about? And then they explain about, oh, okay, I'm really excited about that, and understanding it. The two that I would love to watch live and hear the commentary on are Unite and Go. Unite because of just how new it is to get an understanding of, do these people know what they're talking about? Letting them explain some of the more detailed, technical aspects of the game that I'm still not sure. And I think Pokemon Unite has a lot that's kind of, maybe I'm not looking in the right places, but information that is hidden or not explained very well, and it's done on purpose, maybe. And having someone going, okay, so actually they have gone off and done this for whatever reason it might be, because we know that you're supposed to go to Dreadnought at the bottom and then rotate up to the Rotom, and I would love to hear someone like explaining that in more detail. But I think the one that I'm probably least excited, I was least excited to watch until you've just explained about the commentary scene, is Pokemon Go, because that has the most simplistic gameplay mechanics out of anything there. But I'm interested to see how they turn Pokemon Go into a tournament, to be quite honest with you, because literally on the surface you could just go, well, you just tap. You just tap. Well, there's not, because it's a case of, okay, which Pokemon do you bring? What moves do they have? Because you can only have one short or quick attack and one heavy attack, unless you unlock an extra attack.
Which, if you're at world-class level, you definitely have.
You need to. But then it's a case of, well, what moves have you given it to give it diversity? Do you, in what order do you send them out? At what point do you swap them in and out? Oh, your opponent is about to use an attack. Well, do you put up a barrier thinking, okay, they're an electric type, I'm a water type, but on the flip side, they might have a really quick powered move that isn't electric. And if you go blowing one of your barriers straight off the bat, expecting that electric move, when they haven't done that because they are trying to deliberately bait you into using your barriers, your shields, as quickly as possible. And it's not just that. The amount of time that will have gone into these players having to go out and find or hatch Pokemon and trade them to try and get the perfect EVs or the perfect stats. I'm not sure what wording is used for Pokemon
your star
Go,
rating is all the way up. You've got max stats.
Yes, you want a perfect, 3-star Pokemon with maximum stats and attack, defense, and HP, which, let me tell you, I've been playing Pokemon Go since it came out. I have 8 perfect stat Pokemon. That is it. And you know what? Which one is it? Do you know?
I've got an Alolan Sandslash that's perfect.
That's not too shabby. See, I've got a couple of perfect ones. Some of them are absolutely just rubbish. One of them's a Ledian. You wouldn't take that to a tournament, would you?
No.
So that's their mindset, is they could get a perfect Pokemon and then look at it and go, well, I can't bring that to a tournament. So is there some people that are going into that tournament thinking, okay, I wanted a perfect Pokemon, but it's got perfect in attack and defense, and it's 1 stat off in HP. But you know what? That's good enough based on the Pokemon it's going in with and the moveset that it's been given. And things like some of the Pokemon are more defensive, regardless of the stats. So for example, Stunfisk can take an absolute battering from some Pokemon, as I've learned when I'm playing Pokemon Go. Whereas some Pokemon are so fragile, but if you can switch them in at the right time and use one of their heavy attacks, it will one-shot most things. It's going to be great to see. I'm really excited now for Pokemon Go tournament, just to see how it functions.
Yeah, there's two things. As you've been talking, because I, much in the same way as you, I wasn't that excited about Pokemon Go until you started talking about it. And now I'm like, actually, there's a lot I could learn here, because I don't know the meta of Pokemon Go at all.
No.
I kind of know VGC. I kind of know what is good and what isn't. I know TCG. I've been following that closely recently. I know the meta. I know that everybody's really playing Palkia. There was Flying Pikachu that came up a lot after NAIC. And, Mew VMAX is always a threat and always something you got to play around. And there's a couple of other ones as well, but they're like the big ones that you really need to look out for. And people will be playing around that. So I kind of know what's going on over there. I have no idea about the meta in Pokemon Go. I have no idea how it works. That'll be fascinating to watch. The other thing is as well, Pokemon Go and Unite are brand new for this World Championship, as far as I'm aware. And it's the first time competitive Pokemon is in real time.
Yes.
If you think about it, VGC and TCG, it's I take my turn, then you take your turn. Then I'll take my turn, and you take your turn. And now it's like, no, it's all happening right now. So it's going to be a very different atmosphere between these different games. You know, the more slow, methodical, you can see the cogs turning to, I am doing this right here, right now, going as fast as possible. It's going to be so different. And the thing is, the level of play is obviously higher at a world championship, naturally. But the style of play is different as well. So you take Unite. Have you ever watched like a Unite tournament?
No, I haven't. I've watched MOBA tournaments, and watching a MOBA played live by a professional team is very different to just watching general people play it in terms of them making decisions or doing things that in a normal game, you'd be like, why are you doing that? But in the meta of a competitive game, it makes sense for what they're doing.
So again, when I was following Unite closely, so close to when it came out, my knowledge on Unite is not as strong as it used to be. But way back when they were doing tournaments and stuff then, so the meta used to be a case of you'd have an attacker and a defender up top, and then you'd have an all-rounder and a supporter down bottom, and then there was an attacker in the jungle because Cinderace was just broken, and that was kind of how you play, and your attacker would rotate down for Dreadnought, and then you'd kind of play like that. That was the meta. Within ranked play, that was what you hoped for. That was a good team you were with if they all played that way. However, in competition at the time, it was actually completely different. You'd run your supporter and your all-rounder at the top lane rather than the bottom lane, and you'd run your attacker and defender down bottom. And it would be the supporter who would rotate down, and you'd just leave Lucario at the top. Just on their own, and they would just hold the lane, and you'd be Lucario versus Lucario, and then everybody would rotate around, and then they would all move as a group together, and you'd go from Dreadnought up to Rotom, and then from Rotom, you'd kind of split up again, and then you'd do it again. You'd come down for Dreadnought, and everybody would rotate out for Rotom. So it's a very different style of game at a professional level than it is even at the highest level of rank.
Yes.
It's just a different game entirely.
I think with Unite, I think there's two classes of players. There's the players that play it casual, and they might have dipped their feet in some MOBAs here and there, but that's not typically what they play. They're here for Pokemon Unite because it's Pokemon. But then you have the professional players that have played MOBAs before and have pulled across some of the tactics and the ways you play in other MOBAs. Like most MOBAs that I've played have a solo lane, because typically you have 3 lanes in other MOBAs, whereas Pokemon Unite, you don't. You have 2 lanes and a jungle. So it's interesting to see that some people have gone, okay, well, if we solo on one lane with a Pokemon that we know can probably hold its own, they might not be able to score up on the top or bottom lane, but they can hold it.
Yeah.
And then it gives 3 other players with support from the jungler to just absolutely swamp the other lane, which is already outnumbered. And as we know, if you go to the jungle first and someone else doesn't steal your Pokemon, your jungler will be overpowered and can typically, with support, just wreck whatever lane it decides to go to. So I'm really interested to watch. I'm just looking up actually like when you can watch them and how to watch them. So they're
all streamed as well.
Yes.
So the entire weekend is being streamed. So even if you haven't got tickets, you can watch.
You can watch, yeah. So there are streams on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on Twitch, but there's different Twitch channels. So it's twitch.tv/Pokemon. And then, so that is for VCG. For TCG, it's twitch.tv/Pokemon TCG. And then Pokemon Go and Unite follow a similar formula where it's twitch.tv/Pokemon Go or Unite, depending on which one you want to watch. And there's also Pokken Tournament DX.
Oh, of course there is. I completely forgot about Pokken because nobody plays
I'd love to watch. So I love that game. I haven't got it, but I love it.
And that's the problem. I'm just going to throw it out there. That is a problem. We should have supported Pokemon DX or Pokken a lot more than we did. That's us as a community, by the way.
Because it's a great, like, if you haven't played it, the only reason I managed to play it is it came out, they did a free weekend where you could download it and play it. So me and my daughter had several matches. You couldn't play the full roster, but you had about 6 Pokemon off the top of my head that you can play with. Honestly, one of the most fun Pokemon games put together. I'm not a huge fighting a fighting gamer, like, doesn't really appeal to me. I will happily play with other people if they're like, if we're just hanging around. It's like, you fancy playing a fighting game? Yeah, okay then. But Pokemon Tournament, it's just something different about it. To watch Pokemon fight in a fully 3D environment where you can go forward, back, left, and right, and run around. You can block attacks, you can mix up your attacks. Some of the Pokemon Mega Evolve as well during battle, and they stay Mega Evolved. That's their power up. It's such a
gorgeous.
Fantastic game. It's one of the best looking Pokemon games in my opinion. I don't actually know what. It probably is the best looking Pokemon game because because they haven't got a huge amount of Pokemon in it. They can really put the time in to make the Pokemon textures look like real Pokemon. They look amazing.
And it's really funny. A couple of weeks ago we were talking about that Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl fan trailer where like you were running around with the Empoleon and you were fighting the Infernape and stuff.
Was
like
that based on Pokemon?
No, it wasn't. But it was an interesting comment I read on there, which is like, oh, everybody loves this, but none of you have played Pokemon. You want real time. You want real time combat. Says someone who's never played Pokemon in their life. It's like, you got me. You got me.
Recommend, if you can, pick it up. I'm waiting for it to drop below a certain price point so I can go, okay, I can justify, because I've got that many Switch games already that I don't play, that I can't really go out and buy them at higher price points. But of course, Nintendo, you can only get them on Nintendo. So they kind of got you. You've got to pay what they're signing them for, unfortunately.
See, the thing is, actually, weirdly enough, Pokemon's one of the ones you can show up and you can compete in.
Oh, you can just turn up and play?
Everything else you had to qualify for. There are qualifiers at World Championships for Pokemon.
Oh, I should have come along and just button mashed
that few people have signed up for it.
Oh, wow, really?
Again, this is kind of what I've read and what I'm aware of, but yeah, it's not. I think it's the last time they're doing it as well. I think I read that somewhere.
Oh, okay. Oh, that is a shame. Well, hopefully stuff like this, bringing it to a tournament, hopefully gets people involved. That's one that I'm definitely interested. I'm going to have to go back and watch these on Twitch at some point. I think just maybe even if I just go back and watch the semi-finals and the finals, maybe just so I can get a bit of the atmosphere, because I am going to miss it. I guess that brings us on to, if they do more events like this, are you going?
If they're in the UK, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I didn't think we were ever going to actually see Worlds in the UK, because it was supposed to happen in 2020.
Oh, was it?
It was supposed to happen in 2020, and then it got delayed because of COVID. And then it was supposed to happen in 2021, but it got delayed because of COVID. We're now seeing it. And it's really interesting. We haven't had a World Championships for 3 years, which actually, it sounds like, oh no, what a shame, but it's actually massive for the game. So, for instance, you take VGC. I was watching a video by Wolfie recently who went over the fact that, like, because we've not had a World Championships, especially for like VGC, which is where he specializes, people who have been playing Pokemon Sword and Shield haven't had a World Championships in Sword and Shield. And what players at high levels do is, sure, they'll take like teams and meta evolves as it's standard, but lots of tricks and lots of plays and lots of really odd pulls come out at World Championships. You think, for instance, Pachirisu, right? Nobody respected Pachirisu, but
somebody
Pachirisu
brought it to a final, didn't they?
Somebody won World Championships with a Pachirisu because it had Follow Me, and it was able to like redirect a lot of attacks. Now suddenly the whole meta is people or more casual players are looking at Follow Me a lot more. Same thing happened with Thundurus. So Thundurus was always ran back in Gen 5 as a sweeper, as a really fast attacker, until it was taken to the World Championships, and the finalist and winner of the World Championships played it as a support Pokemon, played it with Prankster Thunderwave and Swagger and things like that, and just made it a menace. And then after that, nobody really played Thundurus as an attacker anymore. It was always that support run. So the World Championships are where these really odd and fascinating tech that people have come up with come out, and it changes the meta forever. We haven't had any of that yet with Sword and Shield because we've never had a world championship with these games out.
That's going to be interesting because obviously we have Dynamaxing in that game as well. It'd be interesting to see how that impacts and some of the plays that happen with that, because there are certain moves that function differently when you are targeting someone and they Dynamax. I've had it where typically they are moves that rely on weight or size and suddenly they're not effective or they do something differently. And it's really going to be interesting to see how that plays out because obviously the Dynamaxing moves that you have, they impact play in terms of, setting up fields or boosting attacks or lowering defense or whatever it might be. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that pans out.
Well, the different
Pokemon.
Sorry,
Go
didn't
on.
mean to cut you off.
Go on.
Carry on.
No, you go on.
Right.
Kind of
sorry. The three championships, the three world championships you would usually get in a game's life cycle are different formats as well. So you have regional decks only.
Yeah.
National decks with legendaries.
Right.
The only one we're getting Sword and Shield is national decks with legendaries. So what that means is like everybody's team has to be based around these super duper Pokemon, right?
Yeah.
So Kyogre and this is amazing as well.
Kyogre,
this is the first VGC World Championships in forever that hasn't had Megas or Primal reversions. So Primal Groudon and Primal Kyogre were like things to base your entire team around. Mega Rayquaza was something to base your team around.
Yes.
These were your Uber plays that everybody had to think about when they were going in. Now that's not a thing. There are no, there is no primal reversion. Groudon and Kyogre are still very powerful Pokemon, always have been, but they're not as powerful as they have been over the last however many years of championships. Rayquaza is not as powerful now that it doesn't have a Mega. But now you've got things like Zacian, who can't Gigantamax, but does more damage to Dynamax Pokemon, and it's Fairy Steel typing, and it has one of the most broken abilities in all of the game, and it's the number one pick. And if Zacian doesn't win World Championships, I will be surprised.
It's going to be interesting to watch this. And of course, for people that are playing, there are prizes available. Do you know how much the number one team who wins Pokemon Unite will get?
Go on.
100,000. So divided by 5, it's $20,000. Could you imagine that?
But that's the thing. It didn't used to be that way. Things have been getting more and more. Prizes have been getting larger and larger over the years as esports is becoming more valuable and things like that. And realistically, Pokemon should be an esport that has a lot of recognition. It kind of doesn't, and I think that's half the reason why Unite is a thing, because like the League of Legends and the Dota championships are huge.
They're huge, yes.
Like granted, mostly in Korea, but they're huge. So I wouldn't be surprised if Unite was maybe one of the most viewed championships there this year.
Well, it's got that nice that Venn diagram, or it's one of the things that attracted me to it was, well, I like Pokemon, I like MOBAs, and then smack bang in the middle is Pokemon Unite. So it would attract people that are maybe, League of Legends fans, Dota fans, whatever it might be, Smite, and then look at that and go, it's a Pokemon MOBA. Well, I'm not really interested in Pokemon, but I am interested in MOBAs, so let's take a look. And there is a lot that goes on under the hood of Pokemon Unite. So it's going to be interesting to just see how this event pans out. And honestly, I'm missing this one. I hope we get another one in the next couple of years that I can go along to.
I will be brutally honest with you. This is the first time it's come to the UK in our lifetime.
Which is annoying because when I looked online and just trying to look up events that are going on, there's a lot of unofficial Pokemon events that you can go along to, most of them Pokemon TCG. And when I was looking at the UK and what's available, UK gets grouped with Europe, which is really annoying because it's like, well, we're technically our own thing, but I can understand why the company does that because they've got to alternate between, how many different countries around the world, unfortunately. So, that's a little bit disappointing that we might not get one for a while.
Decades.
Great. Yeah, it's great that we can watch them online. So that probably explains why it sold out so quickly then.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And you've got the other thing as well. I think, have we spoke about the last time we had a Pokemon Center in London?
I don't know if we have. I know that we had one a couple of years back, didn't we? Like a pop-up one that was... Because I was going down...
basically, was the idea. And then they decided, actually, you know what, we'll give them an online store. That's what we've got in the UK. We have an online store for...
It's not the same as it is being able to go. I mean, if it's going to work anyway, it's going to work in London. The only reason I couldn't go is when I was going down to London anyway, but where it was nowhere near where I was going on business. So I couldn't really sneak away or go before or go after the work event that was on, because it was a full day. Be there at 9 and you don't leave till 7, half
and
7.
That's because you were queuing for 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah, and you still have to like get the train back and everything like that. So in the end, I was like, as much as I want to go, it wasn't worth the effort and the extra miles that I'd have to go, unfortunately. But I honestly, going the Pokemon Center will be absolutely amazing.
Well, they have one at the championships, and because of the way it went down in London before, with people queuing forever, basically, and then getting into the store and going, there's nothing left. It's now a case of you have to book your slot ahead of time. So we've booked a group slot kind of thing, and the 4 of us have all booked in to go together, and we've got a time slot where we show up and we go, yeah, I'm allowed in now, kind of thing. Or you do a virtual queuing on the day. Because the other thing is they're still trying to work around COVID regulations. Which is
really? Oh, wow.
Well, of course, yeah, it's still a thing. And when you have a big event, they try and make sure it's as safe as possible for everybody there. So virtual queuing and time slot management. It's going to be interesting to see how it works. I found a map of the Pokemon Center layout. And
it needs a map.
It needs a map. It's massive, man. Like, you've got like the whole right side is basically just a queuing section, and you queue underneath a giant, what looks like an inflatable Pikachu hanging from the ceiling.
Oh, that's amazing.
And you go through, and there's a bunch of merch. Hang on, right? I will get up this, and I will tell you the names they have given these places, because they've got like little sections for different stuff. So there's like lots of different clothing brands and stuff have their own specific area, and then there's just an entire section that's just for all plushes. Like, you go through it and it says, oh, here you can buy skateboards, here you can buy TCG stuff and deck boxes, here you can buy shirts and stuff, and then you get one section that just says all plush. And it's like, oh, okay. That's just all plush there. But the names that they've given these places, you have like Krabby Road.
I love this. Yeah.
Custom House.
It's like Pokemon Monopoly, this is.
South Blazer Kensington.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's clever. That's clever.
Savile Rowlett. And, of course, Wyndham Bridge.
Oh, yes. Yes. They had to. You'd be disappointed, wouldn't you, if they didn't reference the Galar region, considering it's based in London. Oh, that's amazing. Is there anything you're keeping your eye on? Is there anything that you go into the Pokemon Center and you're like, I need this. I want this?
So, no, nothing I can think of. Oh, that's a lie. If they have a hat, right? I've been after Leon's hat forever. Since I saw it in the game.
It's a good
like
hat.
his flat cap with the crown on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
I want that. If they have that, I will buy that in an instant. I want that hat. Anything else, I'm not sure. I'm really bad. When I went to like Comic-Con and things like that before, I will walk around all weekend and pick nothing up. Because I'm really bad. I'm not frugal with money, but I have issues with like spending money on me. So I'm one of these people who's like, I'm really good to buy for my birthday, because I will tell you, like, buy this, I really want this, but I will never spend my money on it. It will make me really happy, but I can't justify spending my money on it. it's not a lot of money, but it's more money than I would pay for that, even though I really want it. You know, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know full well that the stuff at the Pokemon Center is going to be that kind of level where it's like, yeah, that's a little bit more than I would want to pay for that, but I know it's going to match the level of happiness it will give me.
Yes.
But fighting that inner turmoil of just like, oh, I don't need it though, but I want it, but I don't need it, but I want it. And I've got a bunch of money put aside for this. I have money to spend. I have been saving up ever since I knew this was happening, like to go. But I know I'm going to have to like beat myself into buying some stuff.
Yeah, I think you have to treat yourself. I'm the opposite for like birthdays and stuff because I'm like, well, before having to save for a wedding, I was like, yeah, if I wanted something that I saw, it was a bit geeky or, you know, a little toy or something like that, I'd just get, you know what, once a month, I'll treat myself to a little something. If I was going to the Pokemon Center, I would have to get either something that's from the Meganium line, like a plushie or something like that, or if there was something that was only available there,
yeah,
I would go, yes, I need to get this because I might not be able to get it elsewhere. It might not ever be available, or if it is available, chances are I'm having to go on eBay or something like that to try and get it at a marked up price.
And there are a bunch of London World Championship special stuff. There's like Pikachu in like Royal Guard outfit. I think there's a Roserade in Royal Guard outfit as well.
Wow. Oh my god, I want so much. Right, okay. Let's move on to Pokemon Go Fest 2022 if we're talking about
okay, talking about events, crack on.
Yes, so for those of you who don't know, Pokemon Go every now and again does, I say every now and again, it seems like it's once a month at the moment, do an event where you can turn up and go around an area, typically with Pokemon Go stands and staff helping out, and you get a variety of bonuses such as, you know, increased chance of encountering shiny Pokemon, exclusive special research, bonus raid passes. You can meet up with other people and everything else. Unfortunately, where we live in the UK, we don't really get these. In fact, we don't get these, unfortunately. But you can, for $10.99, you can play anywhere in the world, but only on that day between 10 and 6. Now, this frustrates me a little bit because I'm not typically the kind of person that when they do community days, I don't go out and do community days, to be quite honest with you, because where I am, there's not a huge... You know, there are people that play, and trying to get people together to do raids is an absolute nightmare. I tried to do that, you know, joining various groups on Facebook and Discord, and just you'd turn up sometimes. There wouldn't be enough people. The raid would fail. You think, well, I've just wasted, 20 minutes driving out here to do this. So I kind of gave up on it. However, if there was some kind of Pokemon Go Fest closer to me, thinking Birmingham, Manchester, both big cities, maybe not compared to some of the cities in, the United States.
Yeah, it's not New York, but
over here, they are still large and they would attract. The great thing about the UK compared to the USA is, for the most part, everything's quite commutable. Anything's only, a couple of hours away, worst case scenario. It's not like in America, where to go from East Coast to West Coast, it takes I don't even know how long, but I know it's a long time,
forever. But the idea is that you listen to people say like, "Oh, I'm driving to the next state over," and it's like, "Oh, how long's that?" Oh, like 12 hours.
Yeah, it's like what? You could get from the top of the UK to the bottom of the UK in 12 hours. And depending on the transport, you would have time to spare. You could literally stop off at somewhere for an hour and have a nice meal to yourself and put your feet up before traveling on. But it's just frustrating that for a game that is based around trying to get people out of the house, out and about, that they don't do more. And I guess part of what the frustration about that is, when I've just looked online on the Pokemon website, and you can search for events, and there are different things that you can filter by, but for the most part they're all TCG. And what it looks like is, businesses that can apply for some kind of license and therefore can then host tournaments.
Oh, okay.
So it got me wondering why they don't do something similar with Pokemon Go, where they almost have, they have Pokemon Go Fest. Why not have something that's regional? So then you've got the split between almost world or continent or country, and then you have the smaller regional ones where people can go along, and you get basically they could work with the company. It's a case of, okay, if you come to this event, it will cost you X amount. If it will, of course it costs, because it's a Pokemon company, but you would be able to get whether or not it's shiny Pokemon or special research or bonus eggs, and more than anything, an opportunity to meet up with people in real life. And for me, maybe do some of the raids that I can't typically do. I probably get to do one of the 5-star raids maybe once a week, and typically it's only when people that I'm friends with on the game that I have no idea who they are in real life. So shout out to you. Invite me to raids in New York where, they send you a raid request, you jump in and instantly you've got 20 people, which is a very different experience to what I have over here.
Usually it's like me and my mate where I'll get a phone call being like, come over to the Tesco's across the road. I need you to help me with this raid.
Yeah, and you're waiting in the raid, it counts down to 10, and then the 3 people that are in there all quit because they're like, well, I'm not wasting a raid pass on a Pokemon that we have no chance of beating. I'd love to see more regional Pokemon Go events. I don't know about you. Would that get you playing more? Would you go along to them?
Very possibly. Again, it's any chance I can have to meet up with a bunch of Pokemon enthusiasts sounds like a damn good time to me.
Agreed.
Even if I'm not interested, I might not even play Pokemon Go, but I know there's going to be a bunch of people there who do enjoy Pokemon, and I can go and talk to them.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I ask for.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's probably one of the great, I know we're going backwards, but that's probably one of the great things about Pokemon World Championships that you're going to is, everyone there, you instantly have something to discuss and talk about and a shared interest.
Yeah. And weirdly enough, it's like, have you ever been to a Comic-Con?
No.
So World Championships is not Comic-Con, in case anybody's wondering that. It is not the same thing at all.
No, I've wanted to, though. It's just, I haven't got many friends. It's one of the great things about doing Pokemon on YouTube now, is that beforehand, I wouldn't really have anyone to go with. And while I'm comfortable enough to go to somewhere on my own, there's a difference between that and buying tickets on your own, going along on your own. I'd want to dress up, and then hotels and food and everything else. It's very, there's a lot to consider there, and it almost doesn't feel worth the effort that I would have to put in order to go. And I wouldn't get as maximum amount of enjoyment out of it, which is one of the reasons why I'm gutted about missing Pokemon World Championships, is because if I was going, well, obviously I'd be going with you lot.
Mm-hmm.
And, instantly you've got people to talk to. You're meeting people in real life that you've spoken to for, a couple of years. I've known Tommy for 2 years now at this point and never met up. I'd love to change. I'd love to go along, but it's unfortunate.
I know, and we do miss you. It is a shame that you're no, genuinely, it is a shame that you're not going to be there. We were kind of really hoping you would be. But again, we'll do meetups and things like that. I said to you before, you live fairly close to Lewis, so when I come up and visit him next, we'll both come down and see you, and we can make that happen. Interestingly enough, with Worlds, I'm in a creators group. I got put into it a couple of weeks back. Wow. These are a bunch of people in there, and you're talking all sorts of people, from gaming to theories to just anything to do with Pokemon YouTube content creation, Poketubers as they like to call themselves, apparently. They're all in there, and they're all just having a great time talking about what they're going to do and how they're going to meet up, and there's going to be people going for drinks together and you've got people flying in from America, so there's content creators there who I would never ever have thought I'd have got the chance to meet coming down, and I can just hang out with them this weekend. Oh mate, it's gonna be so good.
That's amazing. That is absolutely that is the great thing about these kind of events. That's what they're almost there for.
It brings people together.
Should be there. Yes, exactly. Absolutely love it. That's what I want to get across with, I think, the Pokemon Go thing is I just want more regional stuff that I can get together and really take that game to the next level, because I've gone to the part with Pokemon Go where I'm in the same cycle of, battling Team Rocky, putting Mons in enough gyms to maybe every couple of months in the egg incubators and hatching the egg. It's getting a bit samey. I'm like, I need that community aspect to really take that experience to the next level.
Yeah, Pokemon is about like since its very inception, has been about making friends and playing together. That's why there's 2 games. That's why there's red and green. That's why there's red and blue. It's why trading was initially implemented. Pokemon is meant to bring people together.
Definitely. So it'd be quite interesting, I think, next week to discuss your experience there if you're up for it.
Yeah. I mean, the plan is as well that we're gonna do, or me and Lewis are gonna do our own vlog as well.
Oh,
I'm not really a vlogger. It's not something I'm particularly comfortable with, but I'm gonna bring my camera anyway. I've got all my gear with me, so we're gonna get nice smooth shots. Maybe it won't be like a talking head piece. It won't be like a day-by-day blow. It will be like my own little trailer for Worlds. Maybe, I don't know. We're gonna film a bunch of footage and see what I've got at the end of it, so I'll be able to share my experience that way. But yeah, I'll talk your ear off about it. Absolutely.
Fantastic. That sounds like it's going to be a real journey. Speaking of which...
Wait, nice. I was wondering how you were going to do it. That was the best way you could have done it. Nicely done, sir.
Thank you very much. It's that time again where we continue watching Pokemon Journeys and discuss the latest... Well, I said the latest, not the latest, but we discuss our latest 3 episodes and what we think of them. The first one, and I think I've got the episode number right this week, episode 29, There's a New Kid in Town.
It's an episode about Yamp Champ. I was always going to love it.
Oh, and his new friend.
His new friend. Well, are they friends?
Well, no. They seem like it to start with, at least to me a little bit. But then, obviously, it develops and turns into a story about Chloe and her jealousy around when Yamper first turned up. But let's go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's start at the beginning. A P-Dove flies into the window of Chloe's bedroom.
Now, are we sure that's the case, or did Yamper just attack it viciously?
No, that's not what happened. P-Dove, because you find this out later, a P-Dove flew into Chloe's window.
It did.
Because it was flying away from a Fira that was attacking it.
Yes. And we know it's not dead. Yamper didn't attack it because it doesn't have crossed eyes. It has the little swirling eyes, which means it's just fainted.
But it is amazing that Yamper drags it up the stairs, bashing its head across every step on the way up. And just with the biggest smile on his face, like, ha, look what I got.
Look at this. Look at this. Aren't you proud of me? It's like the cat bringing home a bird. You're like,
Ma, bought you a present.
That's not a gift. That's not a gift, mate. Take it back. So there's a few things that are also good, because obviously this is an episode about Yamper and Chloe, but it does involve the normal cast as well. So we've got Riolu training again with Ash, and that kind of ties into the next episode.
Oh, are you done with that one?
Wow. No, I'm not done with this episode yet. I'm just kind of setting the scene.
I don't want to talk about the next episode yet. I don't.
No, that's fine.
There
No. That's
a whole thing, and we will get into it. But we're not there yet.
Will.
We're still talking about this episode about a dog and his trainer, who maybe is coming to the terms with the idea that she does want to be his trainer. Maybe she does like Pokemon. And Chloe's an interesting character. We get very little of her throughout this series. We've seen her a couple of times so far. We get kind of her relationship with Go, that they're friends, and we kind of know that she's a school girl, doesn't really know if she wants to go in to do anything with Pokemon, even though that's kind of what's expected of her because her dad is a professor. And she's kind of pushing away from that a little bit, but clearly hasn't dived into Pokemon enough to know whether she likes them or not. She's just had an aversion to them. Which
I like as well, because because we've got Ash and we've got Go, who are both very headstrong and know what they want.
Yes.
In terms of Pokemon. So it's nice to have somebody in that mix who doesn't follow that formula, because then we get to see it from a new aspect. And like you've said, Chloe's one of those strange ones where, Ash and Go have been in every episode, whereas Chloe just pops in and out. And to start with, when I remember with the first episode that she appears in, she's just talking to Go and doesn't seem like a major character. And then the last couple of weeks when we've been doing these recaps, she's appearing more and more into it. And I know where Ash's ultimate goal is. I know where Go's ultimate goal is. but I don't know where Chloe's is. And it's quite interesting to see that's intentional because they are developing and building towards it.
Yeah, because Chloe doesn't know what her eventual goal
No.
is. And that's the dichotomy she has between the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We get a little bit of her backstory of, again, how her and Yamper met, that she was jealous of him when he showed up.
Yeah.
I like the fact that they threw in as well. It's like, oh, yeah, this was before your brother was born.
Yeah.
So it's like, you weren't jealous of him, but you were jealous of the dog.
Jealous of the next thing that came along. And it's just... That poor Yamper, he just wanted to love Chloe, and Chloe was jealous of it, and Chloe just asked it to go somewhere else, which it did. It ran away. Which is just, it was just a little bit heartbreaking, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it's fine. He came back. He saved her from a bunch of Venonat when she was out looking for it.
Oh, that was adorable. That were those Venonat like? Were they ever a threat, or were they just wandering through?
I think they were just wandering about.
Yeah, they didn't look threatening. Like, Venonat doesn't really look threatening, does it?
Well, I don't know. It's a big furry gnat thing wandering towards you. I'd be terrified. I'd be terrified now, let alone if I was like 4 or 5.
So what eventually happens is this wild Fero makes a return, the same one that has been chasing after this Pidove for whatever reason. And like we did, it feels like weeks ago now, Chloe gets another chance to battle alongside Yamper.
Mm-hmm.
Which I just love this slow burn to Chloe just going from I don't really care about Pokemon to, at least with Yamper, almost being not natural, but there's something there. There's a connection that they can utilize in battle.
I like the idea as well that, because Yamper is clearly a family Pokemon, technically. But it's kind of suggested to us that he will only listen to Chloe in battle because of the relationship they have. Yamper loves her the most, so she's the one who has to give it the commands. And it's one of those odd things, again, where like the Pokemon anime kind of gives us hints towards how Pokemon battling works, and it's all about trust, and it's all about like, I have faith in you, and therefore I will listen to you. And maybe that's why like you can't give random Pokemon orders, or you can't give other Pokemon orders, because they won't listen to you. They will only listen to the Pokemon or the person they love the most. And yeah, I do like this idea that Chloe kind of is forced into these situations where she has to do it, and she's a lot less reluctant this time around than she was last time.
Yes. Yeah. She just almost jumped straight in. She's like, right, okay, I've done this before, feeling a bit more confident, which makes me wonder where this is ultimately going with Chloe. Because we're 29 episodes in, and we really have got a slow burn. The fact that we are this many episodes in, and we're only now starting to get Chloe's development of, I think the narrator says at the end, something along the lines of, Chloe's a little bit more interested in Pokemon now. But in what regards is she more interested in? Where does her path take her? Now, I don't know. It could go down the route of, I want to battle Pokemon alongside Ash. I want to catch Pokemon. I think this might go more down the research route, potentially. And, I don't want to go, oh, it's just because her dad is a researcher, but she might just be taking the long way round to going, well, actually, I do want to research or look into Pokemon, but for my own reasons, not because my dad does it.
Yeah, I will be honest with you. I don't think we get a proper exploration of Chloe until next season.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure it's there.
Okay, perfect. Have you got anything else you want to say about this?
Not this one. Oddly enough, Pidove likes sitting on Yamper's butt. That's funny because corgis always have adorable butts. That's just notorious about that breed. Yeah, he just looks so sad. It was one of the things I was watching, like, as a dog lover. I was watching them just be like, oh, Yamper, you look so sad with that Pidove on your butt. You're a good big brother for keeping it there. I'm like,
yeah.
Your dog's upset. Can you remove the thing that's upsetting it, please?
Yeah,
Anyway.
she doesn't. Yeah, they don't really clue in, do they? But this episode it's not a two-parter, but there are elements
that
and
feed
themes
into the next episode.
Yes. So I was a bit shocked, to be quite honest with you, and I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit. The themes that are in episode 29 come up again in episode 30, but not from Chloe's perspective.
Nope.
But
No, they
Chloe
don't.
gets to offer her perspective on the jealousy element. So jumping ahead a little bit there. So let's pull it back.
Well, we can move on to the next episode. It's fine, because I will just start by saying the theme of jealousy and the kind of storyline they go through on this one really works in this episode. I freaking hate the next episode. It is the worst episode in the entire series. Okay. I despise it.
Okay, so is this because it kind of, if this was happening in the very first season of Pokemon,
fine,
you'd be okay with it? Yes. But because it's like, okay, so Pikachu is jealous of the training that Riolu and the attention that it's receiving from Ash, you'd think that Pikachu and Ash have such a strong bond by now that jealousy wouldn't be maybe it might be an issue, because we all feel jealousy. It's just one of those things, but not to the point where Pikachu, lifelong companion of Ash, of 20 odd years by this point,
runs away,
runs off. Yes, that was the thing. That was the thing that I was a bit like, okay, right. I'm not quite understand. I understand where they're going with this, but it almost feels like they've had to create a problem to tie it in with the Chloe revelation.
Oh, it winds me up. Pikachu is a brat. He straight up is a brat in this episode, and to make him seem slightly less sort of out of the blue, they ruin Ash all the way through this podcast. I have been saying Ash is emotionally aware. He has this amazing emotional connection. He can read the emotions of Pokemon. It's really clear, and he's really good at it. And he just seems oblivious to Pikachu in this episode, which has never happened before, and it'll never happen again. It just happens here, and it's forced in to make this tension occur. And it winds me up.
Because the frustrating part about this is, if they'd have picked Riolu to run away, or maybe Gengar to run away, because Gengar's been abandoned previously, and Riolu's quite a new Pokemon. If it had been those Pokemon running away, and Ash trying to being more aware of it, I would have been more okay with that, because those Pokemon are quite new to Ash and how he is as a person, and I could understand their jealousy a lot more, because they haven't been, well, Riolu hasn't been with a trainer before, it's quite young, and Gengar has been with a trainer and has been abandoned. So I would have been okay if it had been either of those two Pokemon that had ran away. Maybe you change the circumstances slightly, although I think it could work that, he's training with Riolu and Gengar's jealous, or he's training with Gengar and Riolu's like, oh, I'm actually jealous about this because we've been training so hard. I thought this was our thing, and now I'm going to run off. So I just don't understand why they chose Pikachu. Is it just because it's
because it's Pikachu and it hits hardest? Because you have this friendship and you're like, oh no, is this friendship breaking down? And I get it. No matter how close you are to someone, you can have a fight. You can fall out. People can't be ignorant of how you're feeling and things like that. It happens. What winds me up is how he behaves about it. It's a stupid, contrived reason for Pikachu to be annoyed anyway, because Riolu and Pikachu should just be fighting each other. They should be training together. It's not difficult. Why is Ash training with Go's Pokemon, who just are not going to be... That's not going to offer you good training. Go doesn't know what he's doing.
No.
So if you want to actually train with Riolu, you train against Pikachu, or you train against the Galarian Farfetch. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So it completely makes no. It's not. It doesn't pass the smell test, if you know what I mean.
For smell test. Go on.
Yeah, I heard though that it doesn't pass this. It doesn't pass the sniff test. Like it just doesn't. It's what you're saying isn't how it is. Like, that just doesn't add up. Nothing here makes sense.
And it's not hard to come up with a different story that kind of might get across some similar themes. I mean, you could have had it with Go, because he is a lot less emotionally mature than Ash, and you could have had it where, the Raboot maybe gets Charles. You could have had it where Pikachu doesn't run away. Pikachu gets bored, which I'd be a lot more forgiving of, to be honest with you. That Pikachu's like, oh, well, I'm going to go off and do something else. And then perhaps Team Rocket gets involved and, Pikachu ends up getting lost and can't find his way back. And Ash is suddenly feeling, oh, have I done this? Is there something I've done? There's a miscommunication maybe. I'd feel a lot better about that. But the way they went about this is interesting because there is one Pokemon that does get its time to shine in this episode. And it's Mr. Mime because it shows the character of Mr. Mime that... it's there to look after Ash and the Pokemon and go and everything. And it takes that to the extreme of, when Pikachu runs off, Mr. Mime could just go, okay, right, fair enough. It doesn't. It follows. It supports. It tries to stop Pikachu in the first instance and tries to support it and tries to help it get back to Ash. And
back to Delia initially.
Yes,
so that's the thing.
Yes,
like when they first leave, Mr. Mime's like, what are you doing? You need to turn around. You need to go back there. Please, come on. Everybody turn around. No? Are we going to turn around? Pikachu? Nope. Okay, we're going home. We're going back to Delia's house. All right, let's go. And this is the bit that really winds me up as well. They do this like road trip episode effectively with Pikachu and Mr. Mime. And Pikachu, once again, is even more of a brat. It's like, oh, my legs hurt. I don't want to walk anymore. I'm going to complain this entire journey, even though you're the one who's insistent on going on it.
Yeah.
Mr. Mime is here just literally to support you.
To help,
and you're making him carry you on your back?
Yeah.
It infuriates me so much because this is not, it's character assassination. This is not the Pikachu we are aware of. It's not the one we come to know over the last 20 years. Like, it just...
So is this just a contrived? Well, it is contrived, but is it done solely because they can then tie into Chloe's lesson that she has to teach Ash?
Why did we need it again?
Wow, no, you're right. Yeah, we kind of learned it in the. I get that because we kind of. What does the audience actually gain from experiencing this from another point of view character?
Because
they don't.
What, Ash hasn't grown anything from this. Oh, he's going to treat Pikachu like his best friend now. He already did.
He already did. Yes.
You've literally created a problem, solved the problem in the same episode, and you've got nothing out of it. But the problem you caused was so infuriating that I kind of wish you just hadn't done it.
Yeah, I can understand. Were there any positives for you this episode?
Again, Mr. Mime's good fun.
Mr. Mime is loads of fun, yeah.
Weirdly enough, and I'm not sure if I want to say this publicly, have they drawn Delia hotter now?
I honestly don't know. I didn't really look into that.
It's a weird thing. I'm gonna say it, but yeah, her character design has changed. And I was like, huh. Okay, interesting.
Ooh, okay. I'll keep an eye out for that one. I didn't really notice.
Delia is always a fun character. I love seeing her. I love seeing her interact with Ash. I like the little song that she sings, the lullaby. That's good fun.
Yeah, it's adorable. And Ash then sings it into Pikachu at the end of the episode, which is adorable. I did like. So that was one of the highlights for me. Seeing Ash sing that lullaby to Pikachu and that bond there. Not that we needed everything else that came beforehand for that. Another couple of highlights is Ash shoots up to rank 901 after beating an Electabuzz, so he's getting there. And one thing that I found hilarious, but in a really disturbing way, is Mr. Mime attempts to stop a car in order to hitchhike, and it doesn't work. What works though is Pikachu twerking. And I'm not joking. This isn't me like stretching the imagination or, turning something into a bit. I'm not joking. Pikachu twerks to stop a car. And it works. That's the weird part. It works.
Its butt is drawn real shiny and it wiggles
like,
and it's
what's this? Why?
And like, is that supposed to be the thing of like, because I've seen it in other anime. I've seen it, I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is probably one of the ones I've seen it in most recently, where it's like, oh, the guys try and hitchhike, and then they go and hide, and the girl tries to hitchhike and gets picked up immediately, and then the guys reveal themselves like, hi, we're here too. And it's like, that's really creepy that's a thing that is coming up more. And I can understand that you're saying, like, nobody wants to pick up Mr. Mime because they're a little bit creeped out, and it might be like a serial killer, but Pikachu's kind of adorable, so people will give Pikachu a lift. But it twerked. It turned around and it flashed his butt. It's like, that's
you could have had this. I don't know, because you could have had the same.
Even if you're saying like, oh, it's waving its tail in the air as like that's its way of flagging things down. Fine, but that's not what happens.
No, it's not. It literally tweets. Like, you could have got the same effect by literally having Pikachu just like, there on the side of the road, ears down, sad puppy dog eyes. Like, that would have worked as well. So why the tweet? Anyway, right. Should we move on to the next episode?
Yes, which isn't quite as infuriating.
Episode 31.
I will leave one last thing. That is literally my least favorite episode in the entire series, and I have not been looking forward to it. Much in the same way as I was really looking forward to you watching the Magikarp episode. This is the one I've been thinking about. Like, I hate this episode. I hated it when I watched it the first time, and I hated it watching it again. Nothing changed. So,
we're past it now.
Let's move on.
Is the more hated episodes coming up?
Nothing that strikes me as hard as that one.
Okay, right. Okay, perfect. Right, okay, so the next one, we're getting like 3 episodes in a row with Chloe.
Yep.
So Chloe is she more of a main character? Is this where she starts to appear more, or is this just a, one of those diagrams where it's up and down, and she's just at an up moment at the moment of
I think she's in an up moment. I think she does become more prevalent as the series goes on. This is kind of, we're starting to see that now. But like, realistically, you'll only really see Chloe when they stay at home, when the events are at home. If they're traveling off to other regions, she's not part of the research fellows, so she can't be a part of that.
That makes sense, right? Well, I'm okay with that, because then it means that when they are in, they're staying in Viridian, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Vermilion.
I'm okay with Vermilion. That's it. So I'm okay with that, because then it gives more opportunities for. So I think that's one of the good things that I do like about this episode is when they go away on adventures, it feels very different to the adventures they're on when they're at home. Mm-hmm. And I think having that extra character to reinforce that is an absolute great thing. So this episode mainly focuses around a Phoebus nicknamed Phoebe, who children just don't care for it, do they?
Yeah, well, not even that they just don't care for it. They're like bullying a little girl because her Pokemon is ugly. Well, not so much. Not because the Pokemon's ugly, because she thinks the Pokemon's cute.
Yes.
And they disagree.
It is in a weird way.
Ugly cute is a thing.
Yes.
Like, people like pugs. Come on.
Well, yeah. These poor things. So we're off to the Hoenn region. So Jenny can enter a competition for water Pokemon, where winning requires talent and cuteness. So straight away, Phoebus, is he the best Pokemon for this?
Well, it goes through some special training, thanks to Go and Ash. Even though Ash thought special training obviously required battling.
Battling. I love how Ash, I love that. I love that Ash, wanted to enter, only to be told you are too old to enter. And yeah, like you say, Ash says he'll help, but mistakes it for battling, which I love. But Go's the one that comes up with the plan, which I love that, Go has a certain skill set that I wouldn't want it where Ash is like helping with everything, because I don't want him to be that character that
he's good at one thing.
Yes.
Well, he's good at a couple of things, but it's mainly battling, and that's kind of where his strengths lie, and they let him be number one at that in this series. And he has flaws. He is not a perfect human being and never has been.
No, which I love that, to be quite honest with you. It's something that's quite endearing. So Go's plan relies on Jenny swimming, which she can't do. So this is basic. So together, the team, along with their Pokemon, help Jenny to learn to swim in a single day. Is that
basically what happens?
A single day. So as someone
in a really shallow pool, what looks like anyway.
Yeah. So as someone who's helped their daughter to learn to swim over several years, Jenny should just sign up for the Olympics at this point, because she's apparently a natural if you can learn to swim in a day.
I mean, have you seen the tricks that they're doing with those Pokemon as well? Like, they're all flipping in the air and stuff like that. These kids are amazing.
This is just absolutely fantastic. And during this, it's not a training montage, but during this training, we see a sign that Phoebus has begun its journey to evolve as one scale is glowing a beautiful color, which I didn't realize that's how it worked.
So you, at least back in Hoenn, back in Gen 3, you had to up its beauty stat.
Yes.
After they got rid of Pokeblocks, they changed it up so that you could use a prism scale, which is what it gets.
Yes.
It's a prism scale. And interesting enough, like it's fascinating the way they decided to do it, because it grows its own prism scale and then it breaks off. And then when Jenny applies the prism scale back to it, that's when she gives it the prism scale and it evolves.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, so it was an interesting kind of way that they played it.
I like that. That makes sense. I completely forgot about the beauty mechanic in the contest back in Hoenn. Completely forgot about that. So one of those I've got here is Here Comes Team Rocket right on cue, because I did think, how are they going to stretch a swimming competition to a full episode? And they do, but they have to bring in Team Rocket. It almost feels like at the moment Team Rocket gets bought in when it's like, okay, we've got an idea for an episode, but we can't get the full 20 minutes out of it. So how can we stretch this or pad it out? Team Rocket battles, kidnapping Pokemon. And Team Rocket kidnaps the children's Pokemon. It's like taking candy from a child. so they manage to steal the Pokemon. And the Pokemon that Team Rocket get this time are Kingler and Kavana. So obviously very good, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very...
appropriate?
Yes, appropriate. Thank you so much for that save there, Conor. While Meowth attempts to catch the Feebas, which evolves, like you mentioned, and Milotic is huge.
Yeah, no, it's a big snake. You gotta consider it's supposed to be a sort of companion to Gyarados.
That makes sense. Yeah. Are they similar size in the Pokedex, do you know?
So I believe they're similar size. I think there's actually more of a connection there as well. I don't know. This is one of those things where I don't know whether this is a theory or whether it's like actually in the Pokedexes somewhere.
Okay.
Feebas swim alongside Magikarp. So Magikarp
that makes sense.
Breed lots and lots and lots to like swim in massive groups because they're useless. So if they get attacked, they're just dead. If they're preyed upon, that's it. They're prey. There's nothing they can do to stop it. So they breed a lot to basically ensure their survival of some of them. Because of this, Feebas are really rare. So to ensure their survival, they also swim alongside Magikarp and just like play the numbers game with them.
Oh.
And then Magikarp obviously evolve into Gyarados and Milotic evolve into Feebas evolve into Milotic. And the difference is it's like goes from a weak Pokemon to a really strong Pokemon, goes from an ugly Pokemon to the most beautiful Pokemon. They are counterparts to each other.
Yes, the counterpart thing I understood. The whole ecological backstory or information around how they survive and how they make sure they survive in the wild. I didn't know about that. I'd imagine they have, and this is I imagine is a theory, but let's be honest with you, it has real world implications of they have a common ancestor somewhere back that divulged into, or split into two separate evolutionary paths. And the episode ends with Milotic just saving the day. And the key takeaway I've got here, the note, is that Chloe realizing why people love Pokemon, which she's been lacking. So again, another episode. This 3 episodes, maybe not the middle one, but there's been a lot of focus around Chloe and where she goes moving forward.
It has. Again, the middle one, she chews Ash out. She explains, like, this is what I learned in the previous episode. I'm going to apply it to you. And then again, she grows a little bit more in this one where she learns why people love Pokemon, what that connection is all about. And she does finish this episode by going, Pokemon are amazing.
Yeah.
Which we've not heard, because, again, up to this point, she wasn't even sure if she liked Pokemon at all. And now you see that wonder in their eyes. You can see that little bit of fire is being lit.
Yeah, you can. So it's going to be interesting, like I've already mentioned, to see where her journey goes. I'm looking forward to it.
Indeed. Come on then. Bring the pain.
Bring the pain. So, Connor, you up for playing a game?
Yes.
I have to ask it.
Perfect.
In front of me, I have 3 Pokemon with 3 Pokedex entries each. But Connor, can you spot the fake entry? So, up first, we have Kakuna.
Okay. Interesting.
Kakuna remains virtually immobile as it clings to a tree. However, on the inside, it is extremely busy as it prepares for its coming evolution. This is evidence from how hot the shell becomes to the touch. Second Pokedex entry. Almost incapable of moving, this Pokemon can only harden its shell to protect itself from predators.
That's not true.
Entry.
That's not true.
Okay.
Karen, you can give me the third one.
The final one. As it nears evolution, Kakuna's disposition becomes more prone to quick bouts of anger. Beware when traveling through temperate forests and misty, wooded areas.
That second one's not true.
Why do you think that?
Well, because it has access to Poison Sting, and it has 2 little claws. So it doesn't just harden itself. Metapod does. Metapod, technically, if you evolve it from a Caterpie, it can tackle, but yeah, that's an incorrect statement.
Okay, so are you going with 2?
No, because 1 and 3 sound like more like something you'd write, but I'm going to go with 2 because it's an incorrect statement.
Okay, so I agree with you that it's an incorrect statement, but it is a real Pokedex entry because so you've got that Pokedex entry which says it can only harden its shell to protect itself, and then you've literally got in yellow,
the Misty Forest one,
able to move only slightly. When endangered, it may stick out its sting and poison its enemy. So you've got one that says almost incapable of moving, then one that says able to move only so slightly. So yeah, I'm afraid you don't get the points, but I can understand why you went for that second one.
Which one was it, by the way?
It was number 3, sorry.
It was number 3. It was the Misty Forest one. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll be honest. I listened to that one. I was like, that sounds like something Ben would write, but if it's not the second one, it should be. And sometimes I don't care about winning. I want to make a point. I'm more here for the discussion. I'm more here for the discussion than I am the actual points. The points mean nothing. That's a lie. I beat myself up every week when I don't get all 3.
when you get all 3, I'll send you a certificate. You can mount it on the wall.
Yay! I will mount that, and you have my word.
So the next Pokemon is Cascoon. For the first Pokedex entry. To avoid detection by its enemies, it hides motionlessly beneath large leaves and in the gaps of branches. It also attaches dead leaves to its body for camouflage. Second Pokedex entry. If it is attacked, Cascoon remains motionless, however badly it may be hit. It does so because if it were to move, its body would be weak upon evolution. This Pokemon will also not forget the pain it endured. And the final Pokedex entry. Wrapped in layers upon layers of soft silk that harden the more damage it sustains. Cascoon's shell is surprisingly cool to the touch.
Interesting, because this one says cool to the touch. The last one said warm to the touch. Did you do that because you read a Dex entry and were like, haha, this one doesn't say anything about touching the shell. That might be something I'll throw in just to throw him off. But the first one sounded more fake to me, so I'm gonna go against my own thinking and go for number 1.
You shouldn't doubt yourself. It was number 3. It was number 3. It was. Yeah, I saw that one. I was like, I saw the initial, to the touch, and I was like, oh, I can adapt that one for the Cascoon, which has no mention of if you touch it. That one worked quite well. So the third and final entry is Whirlipede.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah.
So, Pokedex entry 1. Protected by a hard carapace. Carapace,
yeah.
Its shell is impervious to damage from most Pokemon. Whirlipede's horn-like feelers will poison anyone daring enough to touch it. Second Pokedex entry. Whirlipede protects itself with a sturdy shell and poisonous spikes, which it stores up the energy it'll need for evolution. And the third and final one. Protected by a hard shell, it spins its body like wheel and crashes furiously into its enemies.
Can you read that last one for me again?
Sure. Protected by a hard shell, it spins its body like a wheel and crashes furiously into its enemies.
Let's go with 3. The other 2 have been 3. Well, hang on. Because I want to talk about my idea. My thinking is that it's number 3, and yeah, it's I don't know. There's one that says spike-like feelers, and another one that says spikes. But I'm gonna go with number 3.
Okay. Unfortunately, it was number 1.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry. Do you want to challenge me again next week?
We can. Oh well, is that if I ever get a 0 out of 3, I've got to reverse it next week.
let's do that. Let's do that. And mainly because we're getting married, like I have less time to prepare.
We're getting
next
married.
Week's podcast. What are we?
What?
I better tell Molly. I better let her know. Oh no.
I'm happy to do that. I can write those up for you.
Perfect, fantastic. Let's move on to letters and comments. So we have a question. I don't know why I say letters. We don't get letters. We get comments posted on various social media channels. So we have a question from Rising Phoenix. What animal do you think is not represented enough or doesn't have a Pokemon? Now, I put this to you before the podcast, before we started recording. You already had somewhat of an answer, right?
I did. So weirdly enough, have you ever watched? There's a YouTube video called interviewing animals with tiny microphones.
No, but that sounds brilliant.
It is exactly what it sounds like. There's a girl who works at a zoo and she goes around with a tiny microphone and asks questions to animals and just gets answers. And there was a couple, and weirdly enough, I was watching this last night in a sleepy haze because I've not been sleeping till like 5, 6 in the morning because sleep pattern is all skew whiffy at the moment. And I was watching it, I was like, there's a lot of animals that just aren't represented as Pokemon. And there was one that stuck out to me.
Go on.
The capybara.
I know that. Why do I know? I'm going to search this and I'm going to be like, oh, yeah.
The capybara is the world's largest rodent.
He's so cute.
It's so cute, and it should be your first route rodent. It should be the regional rodent Pokemon. It should be you catch it, and it's really tiny, maybe like a dwarf hamster or something, because it doesn't have to be the same species when it evolves, because this is Pokemon. It could be like a dwarf hamster or something, and like the joke is that it goes from really tiny to this massive rodent, and it's like, I want a capybara Pokemon. The world is ready for a Route 1 capybara Pokemon.
Yeah, it looks... I can understand it depends on how they design it, because I can see the similarities with Bidoof, even though they do look different. I get, for me, just looking at it, I go, oh yeah, that could be Bidoof, but actually, it's a separate animal.
Bidoof is a beaver.
Yes. So it would be interesting to see what they could do with that, and like you say, like yours actually fits in world in terms of the first route that you go on, and that is the Pokemon that you can find,
and he'd be so round, so big and round.
Oh, I'm thinking of something like Spheal.
Yeah,
like that kind of design.
Capybara Pokemon. Give it to me, Game Freak. You know we need it.
There we go. So mine isn't one that doesn't have a Pokemon, but it is one that is not represented enough. And I'm a bit disappointed that we didn't really get this in Galar, unless I'm having an absolute mind blank. But hedgehogs. Hedgehogs are all over, Britain, and we got a fox-type Pokemon, and we didn't really get a hedgehog. Now, we do have Shaman, and there was a couple of other Pokemon. I was like, are these technically hedgehogs?
Do you count Sandslash?
No, because Sandshrew is a shrew Pokemon and Cyndaquil is a fire mouse, because they're the two that I looked up going, are they technically
hang
hedgehogs?
On. You say it's a fire mouse. Where are you getting that from? Is that from the Pokedex?
It was Bulbapedia, so...
Right, so the Pokedex may say it's a fire mouse Pokemon, but let's not forget that it says that, Blastoise is the shellfish Pokemon, and it's not a shellfish at all.
Wait, what?
Yeah, no, that's the typing, that's the classification of Blastoise. It's a shellfish Pokemon.
Okay, so I've gone to Cyndaquil's page. I've literally done a control find and put in Hedge, got absolutely nothing. I've put in Hog, got absolutely nothing. So I feel like...
Yeah, Shaman, Cyndaquil, maybe. Sandshrew, maybe. Or sorry, Sandslash, maybe. Like they draw inspiration from.
Yeah.
But you're right, it is Shaman that is the only real hedgehog Pokemon.
Yeah, so I would love to see another one. And it's a shame we didn't see it in Galar, and I'm thinking something like ground and grass type, maybe. Grass, because,
But does Shaman not do it perfectly?
Oh, it does, but I still think it's slightly underrepresented. I would have, because, so if we had a Hedgehog Pokemon that you could attain quite easily, then I wouldn't really care. But Shaman's a mythical, right?
Mm-hmm.
So already it's quite rare to get. Most people aren't going to use that in a playthrough. If they're going to use it, chances are they're going to use it post game, end game, however they transfer it across, or get it into whatever modern day game that they're playing. I'm thinking something along the lines of, a bit like you said with your example, is something that you get early game in the first couple of routes, and then you get to see it evolve a couple of times. That's what I'd like to see. So
Togedemaru. Does Togedemaru count?
Togedemaru. Good point. Togedemaru. Don't know how to spell it. Probably butchered it. No, got it. Togedemaru is the roly-poly Pokemon, according to this.
Yeah, it rolls up into a ball. It has a spiked back.
So, there we go. Togedemaru may be based on a New World porcupine, given how it can stiffen its triangular body spines. It could also be based on a hedgehog, a chinchilla, or a Ryukyu spiny rat. Whatever one of those. I need to follow that link right now. And there are no images for it. That is really... Oh, because it's threatened at the moment. That's probably why. Okay, so... Yeah, Togedemaru. So we do have another hedgehog Pokemon then in Togedemaru. I'd say that's more of a hedgehog than Cyndaquil and Sandshrew.
Yes, I would agree.
Perfect. So, if you've got a comment or question, you can reach us by leaving a comment on our podcast on YouTube or by emailing goldenrodpod@gmail.com. I second guessed myself then because I was doing it without reading it, because these sections now I'm starting to, it starts to get ingrained into your head. So finally, well, not finally, but we're over onto the plug section. What have you got that's coming up this week have you got anything other than Pokemon World?
I haven't, mainly because I'm going away to Worlds, and I spoke about this on my stream last night. Like, because of my health condition, I only have so much energy, and that will be drained by physically walking around the Excel Center. I'm an introvert, so people drain me. Just being around that many people is draining, unfortunately.
Yeah.
There's like trying to keep hold of where my stuff is, where everybody is, where we're meeting, where are we going, what's happening. That's like mentally draining. And then, it's emotionally draining because there's a lot of hype going on. So in order for me to not just pass out and cause myself severe injury while I'm away, I have to take the weekend off work. I cannot do it. I can't look at Twitter. I can't look at my YouTube stats, and I can't be doing uploads and things like that. So I am putting a big red X and going, nope, I am off. I will do filming and stuff like that. As I said, we're hoping to do a vlog when we come back and upload that afterwards. But as for until Monday, Tuesday, you will not see anything on my channel.
I completely get that. And I just want to say this, not just to, other YouTubers that might be listening to this, but people in your general life. You have to take days for your mental and physical well-being, and it's important that you should do that.
Especially if you're a spoonie. Look after yourself.
Especially. In terms of what I've got coming up, obviously I'm busy with the weekend, which has an impact on YouTube and Twitch and all that kind of stuff. In terms of things that are wrapping up, so just nicely timed that my cage lock with Tommy is coming to an end. I've already started working on the artwork for my next series, where I'll be linking up once again with British Eagle to do another cage lock, but this is a little bit different. We're doing a 3-on-3 because I'm kind of sick and tired of doing the 1v1 cage matches. Like when we did our 2v2 wedlock cage lock, I loved that because it was a different dynamic, and it wasn't just you send in one Pokemon and straight off the bat you're like, yeah, I'm losing this, or, oh yeah, I'm winning this. It's more strategy, the fact that we can send out a mini team of 3 each to battle. So I'm really looking forward to that. Finished and uploaded my first episode of You Have 15 Minutes to Beat the Elite Four by catching a team. I cannot wait to publish that because it's absolutely hilarious how badly it goes. So what I want to do is, I know I could upload it on the weekend of the wedding, but I want to wait until I've recorded and edited 3, get them all up and release them in quick succession and link them to one another. So hopefully then it'll maybe drive some more traffic to the channel. Who knows? We'll give it a try. So that's where I'm up to at the moment with my content.
Nice. Lots of stuff to check out.
Definitely. And that's the show for this week. If you've gotten this far, you're just a top dollar, aren't you? Connor, where can we find you?
You can find me on my YouTube channel at Captain Fidget or on Twitter at CapFidget.
And for 4 days, we can find you at Pokemon Worlds.
Yeah! If you see me, you recognize me, do come up.
Definitely.
Please. That'd be cool to see.
And I'm Ben, and you can find me as Professor Hoenn on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. If you recognize me at the wedding, I don't know how you got in. You're probably not invited. Please leave. And as for the Goldenrod Podcast, you can find us on the usual platforms. Search for Goldenrod Podcast on YouTube or on your usual podcast app. Leave a like on YouTube or a 5-star review if you're listening as a podcast. We'll be back next Friday for another week of Pokemon podcast content. See ya. No, mind this.